The Skeleton Lake. Hidden high in the Himalayas lies a mysterious lake known as the Skeleton Lake. This lake exists at over 5,000 meters above sea level. And prior to the 1900s, this lake was simply a lake that existed in a rural part of India. However, in the early 1900s, and most notably in the 1940s, this lake went from being a beautiful hidden gem in the Himalayas to being a real-life horror story, essentially overnight. The year is 1942, and a British forest ranger is doing a mission in the Indian Himalayas. During this mission, he finds himself at Rupkund Lake, a small but notable lake hidden well above sea level in the Himalayan mountain range. This lake on its own, while interesting, is not very notable. It's only roughly 40 meters wide, and for a majority of the year, it's frozen, meaning that it's hard to even tell it's there. However, during this fateful day that this British forest ranger was taking this mission, the lake was very much so not frozen. And while the draw of a lake hidden high in the mountains is likely undeniable, almost forcing you to walk closer to it and to look directly into it, what this forest ranger saw in the lake was definitely not what he was expecting. As this ranger approached the lake, he quickly noticed that what he was walking on was not simply scattered sticks amongst the rocks in the mountain. What he was walking on was bone, and the skull that he saw floating in the water only confirmed that fact. But it wasn't just one skull or a few bones that this park ranger ran into. This forest ranger had just stumbled upon the gravesite of nearly 800 people, with all of their bones being above ground and scattered all over the place. And obviously, this discovery sparked concern and resulted in a massive investigation, one that is still going on to this very day. And while in that time we have definitely learned a lot about these nearly 800 dead bodies, there are still so many unanswered questions, making this entire discovery and location simply so mysterious. One of the most interesting pieces of information we have in regards to these bones is the fact that they belonged to a wide variety of people, ranging anywhere from elderly women to young boys and everything in between. Due to this fact, archaeologists believe that these bodies had nothing to do with any sort of battle or war, simply because typically mass graves related to war consist only of adult men, and this group was definitely not that. But a fact that is undoubtedly more notable and more shocking than that is the fact that these nearly 800 bodies did not consist of one large group that experienced one massive tragedy. And scientists and archaeologists believe that there is 3 distinct groups that all experienced some sort of unfortunate fate on the top of this mountain, all within a 1,000-year span. One of the first confirmed groups to have been found at Rupkund Lake was a group of South Asian individuals that were believed to be from roughly 800 AD. Another, interestingly singular skeleton showed signs of having East Asian genetic markers with no exact date being identified with it. And most interestingly, the third most distinct group identified at this lake was a group of individuals from the Mediterranean that likely died in the 19th century, making the mystery of that lake so much deeper. But unfortunately, the mystery that this lake holds may never be discovered, and that's simply because of human intervention. Over the years, this lake has become notorious for hikers, tourists, and travelers. And as a result, many of these bones have been disturbed, artifacts have been broken or stolen, and as a result, archaeologists are left with less and less context and information to be able to piece together a story about exactly what happened at this lake. Meaning that once again, we don't know and may never know what happened to these individuals. Although there are some theories. One of the most common theories is that at least one of the groups had succumbed to a massive hailstorm, resulting in massive blunt force trauma to the heads of these travelers. And while there are many skulls that show blunt force trauma, this theory is nowhere near confirmed.